It was a seemingly ordinary night in Bangalore. I was driving back home in this big sturdy ambassador car. For a lot of you young people here, you may not know what that is, but it's this good solid Indian car made of steel and metal plates. And in those days, it had no power steering. So if you took an unexpected left or right turn, you pretty much landed up either dislocating your shoulder or breaking it. So there I was, tootling along, and out of the blue comes this huge state transport bus, rambling into me, high speed, hit me head on. I didn't stand a chance. My body went flying into the windshield. There were no seatbelts in those days. And I was all smashed up, right side of my face and body, bleeding all over. Glass pieces had pierced my eyes. That was the car. And I had, my cheeks had been torn apart because of the metal frames, dislocated shoulder, hand cut wide open. That night, I remember waiting to be taken into surgery. The pain intense now. And I held my father's hand and I said, "Why me, Daddy? Why me?" And my father said very gently, "Why not you, darling? What's so special about you?" That was my first lesson in resilience. I learned that life can be unpredictable, and that is what my father was telling me. He was telling me, accept it, and embrace it, because in an instant, life can change. It is how we react to it that matters. A month and a half after this accident, I was planning to head to the United States to do my master's in television production. Instead, I spent the next 2 years in and out of hospital, 2 years, 6 surgeries. And in between every surgery, I would intern with this very well-renowned Indian television director. And I learned a monumental truth. I learned that I hated production. I wanted to be on the management side. I wanted to be orchestrating the events. I didn't want to be executing them. The accident, it was not a setback. It was a life-altering opportunity that allowed me to change my future career path. It was this reason why I always say that resilience is not just about bouncing back. Resilience is, think about it like a boat. You're heading out into the ocean. You get hit by a storm. You navigate through it. You survive, and you charter a new course. That is resilience. Every time you see a door shut in our face, look around for a window open, because there will always be one. Resilience is something that we can learn. Resilience is something that we can build. It's a muscle. I call it my resilience muscle. And the more you practice it and the more you build it, the more firm that muscle gets. That's my young girl. She was 5.5-year-old at this time, jumping on the trampoline in our community garden. Just the night before this. Trigger warning, if all of you don't like blood, shut your eyes. This is what had happened. The family dog didn't take kindly to being hugged. The bite was massive. It required enormous amount of stitches. I couldn't get her stitched up because you have to wait for 24 hours for a dog bite wound. I couldn't send her to school because she couldn't go with that open wound. So what did she do? She spent the next 24 hours jumping on her trampoline. This is what I call resilience. Not only had she gotten over the trauma of being bitten by her 4-legged brother, but she turned the entire trauma into a life opportunity of bunking school and bunking classes and jumping on a trampoline. Syra learned to ski when she was 3.5 years old. She trekked with us when she was 4. And I was really afraid. I said, "Oh my God, I'm going to have to carry this 15-kilo bundle up the mountainside." My husband Akshay was very confident. He said, "Don't you worry, she's going to be reaching the next campsite long before you do." And he was right. Not only has she reached the next campsite, she had co-opted a much older friend to change their clothes and then pulled him in and jumped into this icy stream of cold water that was running past the campsite. Resilience can be learned. And the younger we learn the resilience, the better we will be able to navigate through life's inevitable turbulences, because life is unpredictable. I was diagnosed with cancer 10 years ago. I was swimming 36 lengths of an Olympic-sized swimming pool at that time. I was super fit, but I had cancer. 2 years and 3 major surgeries later, I woke up one morning wanting to trek to Everest Base Camp. Mind you, I was 48 years old. I had never trekked in my life before. I had lost 8 kilos due to all the surgeries and all the protocols, but I wanted to trek to Everest Base Camp. Why? Because some years before that, as head of programming for National Geographic Channel, I had devised this amazing reality show called Mission Everest, and my entire production team got to trek to the base of the mighty mountain, and I was sitting behind a desk managing strategy and content, most unhappy. I promised myself that day that I was going to go to Everest Base Camp. My husband, of course, thought I was nuts, but I told him, I said, I have to snap out of this self-pity rabbit hole I've dug myself into. I want to go to Everest Base Camp. And he was like, you can't walk from the hall to the kitchen without huffing and puffing. What are you talking about? Go back to sleep. And then he realized I was dead serious, and he agreed to train me. So the next day, we walked 50 meters. I walked 50 meters. And I crumpled down on the side of the road, and I started to cry. I can't do this. I was exhausted. I can't do this. I can't do. You should have told me I can't do this. And Akshay put his hands on his hips and looked down at me like that, and he said, shut up, get up, walk. And so I walked 100 meters the next day, 300 meters the day after that. At the end of 15 days, I had walked 5 kilometers. Akshay taught me a neat little trick. 40 steps, darling, he would say. The moment you feel that you cannot move any further, just take 40 steps. Stop, breathe, look back to see how far you've come, and then take 40 more steps. Can I do it? I asked my father-in-law, India's most decorated mountaineer and soldier, will I ever reach base camp? And the doughty old soldier gave me these pearls of wisdom that I will never forget. He said, Beta, there will come a point in time when your body will not allow you to move further. It is then that you will move on with your mind. Eventually, it is this that will get you there. I struggled that day to reach base camp. It was a 12-hour day for me. My group had left me alone walking on the ridge. Most of them had reached, some of them were on their way back, and I was still walking on this mountain ridge. Icy cold winds picked up, and I remember shouting into the wind, come on, I can do it! And I did. I did. The cancer was never a setback for me. The cancer was a world that opened up for me. I discovered the mountains. I quit my 22-year-old corporate career and I took to the mountains. I have led amazing treks across mountain trails, through high passes. I have rafted Grade 5 rapids. I have jumped into the icy waters of frozen lakes. Without the cancer, none of this would have happened. It opened up a whole new vista for me that I had never imagined. Vistas like this, and this, and this, and this. This is my favorite. I got an opportunity to lead a trek to Siachen Glacier, the only female to have ever led a commercial expedition there. When we reached base camp, Siachen Base, the base commander looked at me very skeptically. He said, no one over the age of 45 has ever stepped on my glacier, madam. I think he was looking at my gray hair. I was almost 50 by then. 1 hour before the trek was to start, we were still all just roping ourselves up. My entire trekking staff was grounded. Last-minute health checkups showed arrhythmia and high blood pressure, and the Indian Army would not let them move further, and rightfully so. And so there I was, no camp staff, no camp assistants, no kitchen staff, no cook, and as a result, all the rations we had bought were all offloaded. There was some confabulation with the ops at the base. Should we even continue with the trek? And then I took the decision. I said, hey, if our Indian soldiers can live on the glacier for 90 days, we surely can live there for 7. And what an experience it was. The Indian soldiers, they roped us up and led the way across the rocky moraines, over the icy glaciers, and crossing over deep, deep crevasses. We sat in their kitchen tents, huddled over these kerosene stoves for warmth. And we had the most amazing interactions. We chatted with them. We spoke to them about their lives and their families and their children. If my trekking staff had been with me, we would have been in our little own tents once the sun set, and we would have never got the opportunity for this amazing experience. And in one of the army tents that the army had provided for us, I saw this amazing poster, a little poem written by an Indian soldier. Such a poignant and such a powerful representation of resilience. The Siachen Glacier trek taught me one thing. It taught me that I can do anything if I put my mind to it. Impossible really is nothing. A lot of people have asked me, Dilshad, what's the most difficult thing you've ever done? You know, the treks, the cancer, the accident, the numerous surgeries. My most difficult challenge has been to tell a daughter and a mother that the light of their life was gone. 3 years ago, my husband Akshay, a remarkably fit man, he rode 40 kilometers every morning on his bicycle, died of massive cardiac arrest after his routine morning ride. We were shattered. He was gone in an instant, leaving behind a shattered 9-year-old, grieving parents, and I. And I remember standing there in the hospital, wrapping my head around this loss. The only thought that I had in my head was, what am I going to tell Saira? What am I going to tell his parents? How am I going to tell them? It was the most difficult thing I have ever done. And I think all the resilience that I had garnered over all these experiences could never have prepared me for this day. Life without him seemed insurmountable. This was the father who taught his 3.5-year-old daughter and his 50-year-old wife to ski. The man who told me to shut up and stop whining when I needed it the most. The guy who taught me the victory in small celebrations, 40 steps. 2.5 months later, Saira lost her grandfather. Colonel Narinder Bol Kumar, the man who put the India flag on the Siachen Glacier, just died of a broken heart. I took Saira for his funeral. The Kumaon regiment gave the soldier the grandest send-off, and I watched her while she witnessed these events, myriad of expressions and emotions across her face, proud, poised, stoic. And it occurred to me while I was watching her that, oh my God, Akshay and we had been instilling resilience in this child for all these years so that she could face up to this day with pride. Resilience is something that we can learn. Always remember that. Resilience can be practiced. These high mountain passes for a young audience like you, they are the perfect metaphor of life. There are crests and troughs. There are uphill battles and steep declines. There are roads of lonely walks, a tree that blocks your path, a bridge that never was. In all of this, do not wait for life-altering moments to practice your resilience. Stand up to that colleague who's always taking all the credit. Tell your parents you don't want to do your CA. And disagree with your boss. Tell him, I don't agree with this performance appraisal, and give him specific reasons why. Resilience can be learned. You need to practice it. Reach out for that support. Family, friends, partners, anybody who will not give up on you, and more importantly, not allow you to give up on yourself. Unpredictability is what life is all about. Resilience will allow us and give us that inner strength to embrace it. Resilience is not about just physical prowess. It's our inner resolve, our ability to say, this too shall pass, and recognize when a new road has opened up. The most significant barrier is never the physical climb. It is the safety of our mental couch. These metaphorical mountains that you see, every one of them, every step that you take away from your comfort zone is going to be a step towards your true inner self. The mountains we climb, they are not obstacles. They are stepping stones to our real greatness. Thank you.